The public hearing. 33. Then you have Bob Nutt, Beatles, to the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so this is a public hearing to discuss the proposed adoption of ordinance 140, regulation of smoke shops and related items. Article 7, regulations of smoke shops and related items. General sections 12.120 to 12.134 and chapter 12, licenses, permits, and miscellaneous business regulation. Legal notice has been published in the Republican American on August 2nd, and there will be a recording of the public hearing. Everyone will be given an opportunity to speak. What I'm going to do is Attorney Fitzpatrick bring us up to date from our last session. I'm going to have Burgess Kimball add to that, and then we will open it up for Burgess questions and then public comment. So, you want to say anything, Attorney Fitzpatrick? You want to go straight to the
Happy to go to Burgess. Well, she's referring back. I can just comment quickly that the last revision that you've seen is very much where we are today. You obviously have, because of public hearing, let the public know that the borough has the legislative jurisdiction authority to adopt this type of an ordinance. It is a licensing ordinance, and the borough is not acting to prohibit. I want to say that for the record, we're not proposing to prohibit vape and smoke shops. We believe that there's probably not a statutory grant to do that, but we do have the ability, we believe, under the statutes to license the uses. And the outline and the ordinance does provide for licensing, both the application procedure and the enforcement procedures, the penalties for violations. And I can tell you all that the review of all the state conduct with regard to this type of an ordinance, we have the strongest penalty provisions of any ordinance that has so far has been adopted. Some communities have adopted moratorium, so they just haven't acted at all, but they're stopping. They're stopping the existence or perhaps the presence of any new shops after a certain date, pending their adoption of the ordinance. So we are, I would say, pretty much in the forefront of the whole process. I would say New Haven, Camden, and others are also in the process. New Haven has already adopted theirs. Their fine and penalty structure is more lenient than ours. So I know that Burgess Kimball may want to comment on this, but the approach has been to make our ordinance strong while also making it enforceable, while not also violating the statute, any state law, because we can't just outright prohibit, not allowed to prohibit the vape smoke shops. Right?
Now, did you seek or receive comments from the Valley Health System?
So yes, we did one. We saw it, and on numerous occasions, and I know the borough clerk has also reached out. We've communicated with the borough clerk as well to see some comments, and they have not responded to the proposal. I'm not sure, since there's been no response, I'm not sure why. But there are several communities within their legion, their district, that are considering similar ordinances. We may be the source, and I believe we will be, in the event this ordinance or as the way it's drafted or with some modifications we will be this ordinance will be viewed by many other communities as one of the leaders in this area. So if it is adopted, there's no pressure to do it, But the public do determine that.
All right, Burgess Kimball, do you wanna add anything?
Yeah, I would just say that this really targets, like illegal activities, right? So sales to minors. I talked about this today, but half of the town's vape stores are on Rubber Avenue, which is a busy road, but the high school is also there. I don't think that's a coincidence, right? A lot of people don't even realize that you have to be 21 to buy a vape. When I worked at the high school, we had a code purple almost every day from students vaping and having a bad reaction. So I just think this is really centered at, trying to keep the kids safe. And if you are operating a vape store and you're compliant with, right, state laws and regulations, then you have nothing to worry about. So it's really targeting like illegal behavior. And it's, a lot of people have contacted me saying they're instant. It's following statewide trends. A lot of places are doing this, so feel good about it.
Okay, are there any searches who have a question or wanna make a comment?
Next.
Yes, sir.
Is there any law in the state that indicates on how many vape stores you can have in communities? Such as Naugatuck, for an example, you got 32,000 people. How many vape stores is enough in that type of community? Number one. Number two, we have regulations and laws for liquor stores in communities and size. So I'm wondering, is there anything in the state level that will indicate how many vape stores you can have in a community our size?
Your observations are correct. The answer is no. There's no statutory guidance on this issue. My understanding is it's been considered. I don't believe it's gotten out of committee and got to the floor, but we don't have the state preempting the field such as we have in liquor stores, in cannabis centers. Remember how cannabis, of course, is high in the population, which is, I think you alluded to, population issue. So is the liquor store. The basis for the regulations from the DP regarding liquor stores. I think a lot of the communities were hesitant to go forward on ordinances because they felt the state would act. They did. They haven't. On the vape smoke shops, they haven't. Now, don't forget, this exemption does not include the package stores that sell cigarettes. It doesn't include stogies and cigar shops. But yes, the answer is no. No state preemption or package that would help really relieve us from adopting an ordinance. And by the way, competently with this, we are drafting a set of zoning regulations, which will cover things like locations, distances, separation points, things like that. That is currently, the zoning commission adopted a moratorium. So that gives us time to draft that regulation. But the thought was our policy has been, if there's an ordinance to be considered, let's get the ordinance done first. Then we'll go from there to help the zoning ordinance, perhaps supplement or complement or board. That's not.
Thank you.
Okay.
And there on zoning, they're talking about how in those regulations, how far apart each store can be from each other, which zone it can be in. So they've been waiting for this to pass before the signage, the colors, the lights, things like that. So after, if this passes, then that's the next step, but they're ready. They've had a couple of drafts, so.
And I'm not sure how all those vape stores really survive in Naugatuck anyways. I mean, you got so many. It's just like.
They sell an addictive product.
Oh, I understand. It's just like. Yeah, but how many can you have?
Yeah, but I agree with Caitlin. I mean, I'll go for my walk and have none of vape stores.
Yeah.
And like you said, around the high school area. And I'm sure they are something. Yeah.
Well, the enforcement, of course, is with the chief of police, and that's where we vested that authority. And he's Chief McAllister has been very willing to take it on.
That's the biggest thing that we learned at the forum that was held a few months ago, that DCP is like completely overwhelmed. And they right now, I think, are doing quarterly visits. So that means right now what's happening is maybe once a quarter, they're going to one vape store right, in Naugatuck, so this gives us a little bit more autonomy and authority to go in more frequently, right? And not, just rely on the state.
It's actually at reasonable times, it's at reasonable times, they can't just go in and create them at 11 o'clock at night or 7, 8, it has to be at reasonable times. And it's all about local enforcement, that's where this is going.
All right. What was that?
Yeah, my only question is regarding some language in a couple of the sections.
Sure.
That use the term shareholder. And I'm gonna assume that Cumbies has to apply. And that's a publicly owned company with tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of shareholders. Can we? Right, but it's in there.
They're not, I believe that they don't count as a vape store
In,
because they're the square footage, right?
Well, no, there's a question of what,
Well, the
I'm not
question
sure what
is-
they sell, I'm not sure, I don't know what their
It's
usage
based
is,
on
but
like the square footage of the vape product. that
but
they
that's.
sell.
Specifically, this is just language. So I used Cumbies as an example.
What
but,
section are you referring to?
12-124, A, B, and C. And 126-4. Those are probably the only places where it is. I'm just wondering if the word shareholder in there is going to do some unintended work.
Are you referring to the zoning ordinance or the?
No, 140.
How many farms wouldn't be considered a vape store?
Right, I just used it as an example. I'm talking about any publicly traded company that.
Any corporation firm would be subject to it, I don't care whether they're companies or wall.
Right, so then my question to you is perhaps that word shareholder might not want to be in there. Given that public companies have lots and lots and lots of shareholders and we're requiring, a background check and fingerprints for shareholders.
Well, it depends on who that allows us to do it. But the question is, who would be, for example, the majority owner? Certainly the police chief is not going to do a background check on.
All right.
On 185 million share.
Yeah, no, just wanted to make sure.
But no, I understand. But the whole point of that is to make sure that everybody is accountable and they can't escape by
I get that.
transfer.
No, I understand that, and that's where, corporation members, directors, owners, that's all well and good, but you bring shareholders into it and you're.
Well, it has to be, it says the application must be executed by an officer, member, partner, or shareholder. I mean, it doesn't have to be all of them.
And then 12-125, just in the heading where it says notification of denial. The language is missing in that paragraph for denial, although it is included in the following section, issuance of license 12-126. That's just a labeling issue.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
All right.
Solid drafting.
Any more?
He-
roll call?
Kim's got a question.
Jim Gallo, good to see you.
Hello. I think it's important if, especially members of the public that may be listening to this, to realize that without these ordinances, police have very limited ability to police those who are selling things that they shouldn't to minors, like vapes. And I don't think anybody would argue that it's a healthy thing to do, or a legal thing to do. But the ordinance is necessary to give the police the tools that they need and to help keep kids safe. So, I guess the reason why I'm saying this is I want to turn it around to, we're trying to make all these laws. We're not. We're giving police the tools that they need, so that these stores are required to follow the law.
Well, stated.
And last point is that, seeing Bridges Gallo, her comments reminds me of there also are some due process protections for, violators, potential violators. They have the right to appeal any decision by the police chief. And it goes to a hearing officer, a citation officer, and not sure who that would be. That would be up to the mayor. So there are due process protections for store owners in the event there is some type of overreach or unclaimed overreach or inflexibility at stake.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a public comment in the record? All right,
And just one quick comment, under the signage, we've got required Spanish, Haitian Creole signs. I would suggest
Right,
Portuguese as opposed to Haitian. Because I think there's a big Haitian.
That's
Oh, there
Exam can change.
Like that's gender, actually, just add it.
Those don't visit Haitian populations, quite a few.
It is, I'm assuming that doesn't.
Yes.
We should, I got it. Not,
Good catch.
We could just add it. My suggestion is we add.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
always better
Yes.
so that someone can't complain. They didn't know, they couldn't see, they couldn't read it. You don't want lack of knowledge as any possibility of offense. We'll add that.
all right, last call for
Yes.
public comment. Anyone online, Jim?
nobody.
All right, last call, public comment. Is there any reason to keep the public hearing open? Nope. All right, I declare the public hearing closed at 6:49 PM. We will take this up,